Hello out there in Rando Land. Welcome to the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past spoiler tournament. We are seeing a 1-0 match here between Vertz505 and oase28. So I am Neon Tiger and I'm joined by Clear Mouse. How are you doing, Clear Mouse?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to this race. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good. So as you can see from the countdown timers up there, the runners have gotten their spoiler logs. They have 15 minutes to kind of look over everything. What path they need to take through this. So it's a little bit different than your normal randomizer where you do get a little bit of a heads up on where you need to go and what you need to find. And it all comes down to your choices and your execution here. So it'll be very interesting to see what our 1-0 runners here decide to do from the get-go. Now we've also got the spoiler log, so we've been talking a little bit back and forth here right before we hopped in about what kind of strategy we might see here, and there's some pretty clear choices from the get-go. It'll be very interesting to see not only both runners' executions, but to see kind of if there's any changes in pathing and priority here, because there's a couple of items that we're going to want to see them go grab really quickly for this specific seed. All right, and away we go. We're seeing both start with the Sanctuary. And yeah, as we discussed here, very early, Clear Mouse, we are seeing some decisions being made on where to go. Looks like both runners are heading over into Lost Woods.
Yeah, one thing kind of interesting about this is that the spoiler logs really do test execution. Oh, there's half magic just hanging out. It's kind of nice. And so like one kind of like main difference between like maybe like a normal open seed run to like spoiler log is that when you're trying to find progression, right? You end up getting a lot of kind of like what you consider to be like junk items, right? 20 rupees, 10 arrows, heart keys, and maybe by the time you get to your first boss, right? You probably have accumulated like 2 or 3 heart containers. You've got some like resources. But for a spoiler log race, right, because where all the progression is, you're just going to beeline to those items, and sometimes runners have to be very cautious and cognizant about being able to basically have enough hearts and enough safeties to even like beat the bosses.
Yep. So we're really going to see like what I guess you could call like a low percent run here. You want to get the least amount of items and do the least amount of checking as possible. And of course, there's the hammer and the moon pearl. Yeah. Those are 2 of the things I think we spotted very quickly that we're going to lead to an early play for Kakariko, and there's a 3rd item coming up here. I won't quite spoil it yet, but I kind of expected to see both of them make this play in just a moment. It's going to open up, I believe, actually going to open up the full bunch of chests, and there's the item that we were looking for. Toot toot, I'm a flute.
Yeah, one thing's interesting is, so like the study period for the spoiler log is really only 15 minutes, and those 15 minutes go by super, super quick. And so sometimes, when you're looking at location items, like the well or like one's hideout, sometimes they say like, oh, there is one progression, but you may as well just kind of grab like the rest of them. And then, some runners are also more cognizant, so like, oh, I only need the first chest, or like I only need the back of the well chest. Just kind of like very minor differences.
Yes, indeed. And we are going to see. Looks like they did go for the money decision here and pick up some bombs. I think that was another thing that we talked about briefly in our pregame chat. Just as commentators, were we going to see anybody go and farm a little bit of money to get some bombs here? And indeed, the answer is yes.
Looks like a very similar routing so far. Go head to presumably Sahato's hut or something. Or maybe easy.
Yeah, I think they're thinking the same thing that we were thinking as we were looking over this weather lock here. So yeah, it looks like Vertz in.
Yeah, just being a little bit more cautious.
Yep.
Avoiding the rocks.
And I need that bomb to get back here because there's a very important item back here. The mirror.
Yeah, I mean, having the mirror and the flute very early on is really great for mobility. You can basically, go from light to dark world, dark world to light world, anywhere on the map, basically, however you please.
Yep. And actually,
Yeah, so maybe flew to the wrong spot.
I think so. I think Asu just decided that a couple screens up too high, but they are both heading to the exact same spot here. Mini Moldorm Cave. Gonna do this swordless, so I'm using some bombs to help take care of it. Another reason that we need bombs, not only to get inside, but we're swordless right now. We won't be swordless for the whole race, but
We technically do have the hammer. Hammer Moldorms, especially mini Moldorms, can be quite painful.
yes. And there you see.
So it looks like we've got Oh yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say there you see Vertz going in there to pick up the thing that we were going in there for, which is the first glove.
And I think I did spot a heart container. Actually, could be very useful early on in the seed.
Yeah, you see Vertz has got an extra heart there. It's gonna be pretty helpful just to get through some of these trickier areas. One of the things I always like to mention, the randomizer doesn't really care if you have an early dark world you have to go to, like Aussie's going in here. Game doesn't care. It still hits just as hard as normal. So if you're going in on low health green mail, yeah, you're gonna want to be a little bit more careful. We are seeing actually some divergence here now. Vert's gonna go up here and get something very nice from the hobo.
Hey, our first sword.
Indeed, pointy stick for poking things.
Tomasi is very confident in his hammer/swordless fights. Into pod we go. And actually, just enough money.
Yep, gonna have.
I wonder if that was good resource management, or maybe he actually planned out the groupie route.
Could be either. But yeah, there's a reason to go into pod as well. So we'll. Besides the fact that it's Crystal Dungeon, there's definitely a reason to be in here. So we'll be seeing that shortly on Aussie's side. Meanwhile, Vertz looks like maybe heading up to go to Village of Outcasts, or no, maybe gonna go around. I think. Meanwhile, Aussie picking up the flippers. That was the first chest there.
Okay, so we did see Vert's sequence break and do fake flippers to go to Hobo. It looks like
Yes.
he wants to stay in Logic, at least so far. Don't know what he wants to do further, but.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious here. Aussie's heading over to the Dark World portal here in the swamp area. Definitely not probably going to go in the Swamp Palace yet. Swamp Palace, yeah, not Swamp Callus. That is something that's on my foot probably from spending too much time in the swamps. Oh, I know what he's doing. Based on the spoiler lock here.
Yeah, it looks like Vertz wants to go to the Village of Outcasts, maybe pick up something in this dungeon, or he can technically beat it too. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looks like Aussie's gonna get that progressive glove. Now has the Titan's mitts and now gonna go pick up that sword as well. So just gonna kind of go for that minimum number of trips to collect the most number of items. I like this play from on Aussie's side. It's fairly efficient. We know Vertz is in here for. There's a certain item that's in here. I'm trying to remember which chest it's in. I think we'll be picking it up very soon. Yeah, it is. And Aussie's actually
Looks
heading
like we
up.
got our Master Sword now.
Yep. Yeah, Vertz got the Master Sword.
100%.
Yep. Vertz got the Master Sword. And Aussie's going to be making a journey up here. And meanwhile, Vert's picking up the Canis Maria.
Always a very handy item to have. Certainly has been significantly more powered up since some of the more recent glitches that have been discovered.
Yep, and Aussie's spotting what we saw in the spoiler log as well, that there is a sword up on top of Spectacle Rock, and that is what the trip up here is for. I think Vertz will be getting that Titan's Mitt just a moment here.
I think it's kind of interesting to see, actually quite the divergence. Oase's up in Death Mountain. Looks like he wants to go to, looks like Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, I think this is going to be east side of Dark Death Mountain play here. There is a required item that is here, according to spoiler logs, that Aussie can pick up very soon. Vertz, meanwhile, going to Hype Cave, getting a little bit extra money and some extra health out of it.
Yeah, a little safety when you're in Dark World, especially on Green Mail, with only 6 hearts, certainly never hurts.
And Aussie using my preferred method of getting through those blocks, just removing them with the mirror. I know it's not as fast as using the hook shot, but we don't have the hook shot yet, and you gotta go with what you got. In fact, there it is right there.
Oh, I'm picking up a mushroom. Interesting. You can also see like the muscle memory, right? Of when you're starting in Link's house, you're trying to like open the chest, and then you realize, oh no, I don't actually need the chest.
Nope. It's always fun. So I think
First,
I think Aussie.
My area looks like.
I think this is going to be a straight play into Desert Palace. We'll probably see the mirror pop out here in just a moment. I'm actually going to be checkerboard first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Alright, looks like Vertz is gonna go into pod, get his flippers.
Yep. Yeah, I did not check what was in checkerboard before, but just checked, and indeed going for that lamp. So
having a lamp do dark rooms when you only have 4 hearts, well, technically right now 3 hearts in Green Mail, it's really not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's also going to go ahead and open up for Aussie. Go ahead and open up the back half of Desert Palace here. So if they want to complete it, they can now do it. So that's you got to have a fire source to get back there. Not a bad play, I think. If you're looking to complete the dungeon in one go here, then yeah, this is a pretty good play.
Beating Lanmo with his, well, I guess his Master Sword, which isn't, and he has a hammer, which isn't terrible. Of course, it would be nicer if it had a fire rod, but no, certainly having a lamp as a fire source is more than sufficient to clear the dungeon.
Yeah, one of the things that we were talking about, you mentioned it, Clear Mouse, is that 15 minutes really isn't a lot of time. Which you might be thinking, oh, okay, well I can figure out where all my needed items are in 15 minutes, right? But one of the things that is really difficult to do is you also need to figure out, okay, where's the big key hiding at? Where are all the keys I may need to get through the dungeon hiding at? So that you can kind of map out your way through the dungeon, knowing even some dungeons how many keys you might need to get to certain locations. If there's a key locked chest somewhere that you might need to get to, like in Aussie's case here, getting to this chest over here on the far right side of Desert Palace. which Aussie knows what's in here. We know it's in here too. It's the bow.
Definitely a required item. It looks like Vertz is picking up his lamp.
Again, another smart play here, you know. Getting that fire source so you can take care of Lamolas here, which Aussie's doing, and I assume that Vertz will be doing very much the same thing here in just a moment.
Yeah, reverse going into Lammo is going to have 6 hearts as compared to Aussie's, well, currently 2 hearts, hopefully a little bit more.
Yep.
So, you know, reverse has a little bit more safety. I don't imagine this being too bad, but, you know, honestly, like with RNG and Lammo, you really never know.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be okay here. We're probably going to see Aussie go ahead and use the bow, I assume.
I have heard that Oase is a pretty good NMG runner, so you know I think he's pretty experienced with Lammo in both fights.
Yes. One of the other things that you also want to keep in mind with the with figuring out your logical path is to kind of try and figure out, if you have a location, there's multiple ways to get into it. Which way is the quickest way to do it? Quickest and most efficient way. So for example, here for Desert Palace, do you go get the book and go through the front door? Or do you figure out how to get the 2 glove upgrades and the mirror and the flute to go through via Misery Mire?
You know, when you just say like, well, you just need a book, you know, that's one item. It seems so easy,
Yep.
as opposed to, oh, I need the flute, the mitts, and the mirror. Doesn't sound as easy, but in this case, the first 3 items were, you know, more accessible to us.
Right, and it's also a matter of where is that 1 item you need versus where are the 4 items you need. And is there an advantage? You know, in this case, there's obviously an advantage. You're going to need those items to get to other locations. So you just need to figure out, is this the most efficient use of my playtime is to do it this way.
Yeah, so it looks like Aussie has first crystal on the board at slightly over 15 minutes, I think.
Yep.
Looks like he's going to probably head back to Pod. So it's probably, you know, like, at least logically, it definitely requires a double dip. Well, first you need the flippers, and then, you know, you can't actually put a pod with a bow. So, yeah, back we go.
Yep,
And,
I think it's a smart play.
Yeah, and definitely, you know, there are actually like more goodies in Pod, so it's definitely probably more preferred to clear this dungeon versus some maybe the other options you have.
Absolutely clear mouse. That's 100% a really good read on that. And of course, coming back in here with the lamp is going to take away some of the difficulty of going through here or Green Mail 4 hearts. It can be quite a pain in the butt dungeon to deal with, especially when you get to the darker rooms.
Yeah, and only having Master Sword really is not. I mean, it's okay, but still, you know, you really would like, you know, probably something a little bit more, right? Like Thunder Sword.
Yep.
You may not have that luxury this seat, but you know, like, so doing Dark Turtle Room with 4 hearts, Green Mail, and Master Sword is not really something I would recommend to really anybody.
And Vertz now is taking care of Lamolas.
Also with the bow.
And combination, couple sword strikes here. That's totally okay. Nicely done.
So assuming Oase is going to eventually fight Helma, it'll actually be pretty interesting because, you know, so in an energy run, you actually have more hearts than just 4. You have probably like 6 or 7, depending on, you know, what you decide to pick up. So, and, you know, like that Helma fight, you know, gives NMG runners definitely a run for their money. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how Oase is going to handle this.
Yep, and Aussie is heading to the back here. I think. Looks like setting up the Hammer Yump. So yes, indeed, going to be using a lot of the familiar glitches and Hammer Yumping to save a key. Since we only have one, might as well. Uh-oh.
Maybe. Perhaps a not quite the chest that he was expecting to be.
Right. There
All
we
right,
go.
okay. We found what we wanted, which is the boots.
Yep. I think that's one of those situations where you might have wrote down a location and had it right, but you just wrote down which chest it was in. That was the wrong one. So obviously, it was looking for the boots the whole time.
Yeah, and one thing actually about the spoiler log is that you know, if you've actually never seen the spoiler log or trying to parse it, there are actually kind of a few you know, like difference. You know, like I don't know if they're considered to be gotchas, but it's definitely worth having some experience with, right? So you know, so like a lot of racers, I kind of like mix up like the big key chest and the big chest. It's a very common one. And then you know, if you have some more kind of like vanilla game knowledge, there is the map chest versus the compass chest. You know, so if you don't know really like what those are, it's definitely, you know, to your advantage to kind of like look those up. But even so, like, you know, you have 15 minutes, you're in the heat of racing, you know, you could still forget, right? If you don't really kind of know it like that.
And yeah, part of it too to keep in mind is that spoiler log uses a certain lexicon, that not everybody calls the same rooms the same things. Like we all have an idea of, you know, where the same rooms are, but we might have different nicknames for some of them. There's definitely some that have, you know, common nicknames: Super Bunny Cave, Paradox Cave, Hookshot Cave, things like that. But you really have to know like what these locations are, especially the ones that might have like 2 or 3 different names, and maybe you might not be familiar with one of them. So it's kind of always interesting to see if people kind of have different names for them and might forget that, oh, that, you know, if I call it South of Grove Cave or South Hyrule Cave, maybe the spoiler log will probably call it K45. In fact, it does call it K45. So, you know, knowing all of these things and kind of having that basic terminology in your head is very important.
Okay, so oase, Homa, Green Mail, 4 hearts. All right, I'm excited.
There's a question in chat where Samaria was. It was in the brewery in the Dark World in Village of Outcasts. So yeah, Aussie hasn't been over there yet. Vertz went over there pretty early and picked that up. So that's really, I think that's a big part of the time difference right now is between the two of them. It's just that extra little trip. And Vertz also went into the Thieves' Town to get their Master Sword.
Yeah, that was a really clean and pretty fight from Oase on Helma. No
nice.
Damage taken. I mean, that was just like quite amazing. So.
Yep. The nice thing about Helma Sword King is when Helma gets into the fireball phase, or when Helma Sword King shoots fireballs, they always come out in a certain pattern, so you can stand in a certain spot and be okay, which is, it's nice to know. It's basically, if you stand between the 2 bottom fireballs where they line up with the first one, because they're in a triangle shape, the way that they split apart, you won't get hit by any of them.
You know, you make it sound so easy when you say it, and then you actually like try the fight. It's it definitely takes a lot of practice.
Yep. Yeah, it seems so easy, but then you realize, you know, Helma Sword King's also moving up and down, left and right at the same time. So, especially once that mask pops off, he gets a lot faster. So it can be quite a hassle sometimes.
Oase forgot something? Oh, okay, extra safety. It's always nice to have. Especially still on 4 hearts. But I think that is our first bottle, so maybe Sakid, or maybe Sakid has something. But you know, if he has something, it's probably not necessary until maybe later. You can see Vertz, you know, taking his duel with Helmasaur.
Really, though, the dream is kind of just to get a bunch of tail swipes because it's a lot easier to fight.
Alright, down goes Dinosaur. Also a very cool fight. Very, very challenging. These runners make it look ridiculously easy. It takes a lot of practice.
And we're seeing Aussie go through to the back of Eastern Palace here. And we picked up that big key. It's a crystal, you may as well take care of it now. I'm not going to have a reason to come back here, so get it done and get it out of the way.
Yeah,
really
it's always nice. Like in any release seed. I was gonna say even for blind seed. Yeah, if you can combo pod and Eastern together, that's always great.
Yeah, the more of these dungeons that you can combo back to back that are in the same spot. Desert Palace, Misery Mire if you have to, Pod Eastern if you have to. It just makes it a lot easier. And of course, Vertz now coming in here, no surprise.
Yeah, for how many like good or kind of like open items we got in very early in the seed, it seems like the path is somewhat converging. It looks like they're going through the same dungeons, in the same order, at least so far.
Now Aussie will be heading, it looks like, over to Village of Outcasts while Vertz is going through Eastern Palace. So we saw a little bit of divergence earlier. We're not going to kind of see that divergence come to an end. Somewhat. There'll still be plenty of opportunities to choose which dungeons we want to go into. But yeah, Aussie's going to go into Thieves' Town here. Probably will pop out and get the Samaria shortly after going in here. And I would assume, since this is a crystal dungeon, probably completing this.
Yeah, looks like. Go ahead.
I was gonna say both runners just picking up the big keys for their respective dungeons there.
Yeah, it looks like also Oase, because like he went up to Death Mountain earlier, he also has the hookshot available to him. So looks like he can go to Swamp if he wants to. But perhaps like if he knows something more about being able to combo Skullwoods and Thieves' Town, if that's his preference, he can certainly do that. Or I think Vertz probably would be geared more towards the Skullwoods Thieves' Town area because he doesn't have a shotgun.
Indeed. Also picking up that third sword. So that would be nice for us.
Well, that was a nice dash in Thieves' Town. It's very well done. Quick kill. Yep, armless.
Mm-hmm. So given the crystal layout, given what we've had, I would not be shocked if we see the last crystal be Tower of Hera. I think that probably is the smart play for both runners.
Oh, that would be that would be even nicer, right? Especially with the mirror, you can just do get to Dark World, mirror, do Tower of Hera, and then mirror back, and you can immediately into Gen's Tower. That's
absolutely
perfect.
Yep. Yeah, we are going to see Vertz go up here, and it looks like get the. Maybe not. He's going into he's going inside Spectacle Rock for something. Did he? I'm trying to remember what's in here.
He's picking up a little bit more money. Oh, and Vertz is picking up a lot more money.
Yep. He's gonna bomb jump across, so that leads me to believe that this was indeed the intended grab there. Nice bomb jump.
Yes, that was a very clean bomb jump. It's much trickier than it looks.
Yeah, I think this for Vertz, this will be what we saw Aussie do earlier, which is get that sword and get the hook shot. Indeed, it's going to be a play.
So that's crystal number 4 for Lassie. Man, just these runners are really just knocking down one by one very, very quickly.
And Vert's actually going to go here. It looks like set up for the portal up top here. Of course.
Yeah, it looks like just the portal. Yeah, because so the runners don't have any medallions, so can't open Turtle Rock yet. So perhaps just the Dark World portal.
Yep, and I see picking up the Candace Maria. Meanwhile, Vert. Oh, I see what Vert is doing. I'm actually going to go from the backside and grab hookshot this way.
Well, yeah, I forgot about the mushroom. Both runners have the mushroom. I wonder if they're gonna turn that in sometime soon. Or a mushroom actually can be used as a safety. There is fake powder. So if you have no magic and the cane of Samaria, you can activate the cane and then immediately switch to the mushroom to get powder. So then, if you're ever stuck in a bind, maybe saying, let's say Gannis time, we don't end up getting the powder, you could fake powder some of the anti-fairies to get a heart refill.
I would think that would have to be a decision here. Having looked over the spoiler log a little bit, I think that's probably the reason that we saw both of them pick up the mushroom, probably just for a fake powder. And I believe we did see Aussie pick up the fire rod, yep, which was hiding out in the Skullwoods compass chest.
Yeah, anytime. I think that's actually probably one of the well, at least like routing decision wise, like finding a fire rod in Skullwoods, I think is never really that pleasant, because people don't really usually want to go to Skullwoods unless they have the fire rod. So the fire rod is just kind of like hanging out there. Typically runners aren't terribly happy. Yeah,
so the only problem there was fell down the wrong hole, so that was a bit of a soft lock situation where couldn't get out. So it's not going to have to save and quit, come back out, and instead of mirroring back to the entrance, we'll just go this way. Meanwhile, Vertz is going into Swamp Palace with that hookshot. So my assumption here is that Vertz does know that the fire rod is in Skullwoods and doesn't need to worry about it. You can actually put that off for a little bit longer, especially if you're going back to do Thieves Town. And this gets all that out of the way because we're gonna do a go mode, probably Swamp Palace here, unless there's something heading out. If it's not, then yeah, you're pretty much going straight to the back and taking care of business and heading on out.
One nice strat though, that runners tend to use fire rod for, is actually with Argus. So normally they can do like one spin and then a couple fire rod shots.
Yes.
I don't think it's too big of a deal here because Vertz has the temper sword, but it is something that also has the option for.
Yes, indeed.
Aussie takes down Moth. Very impressive fight. Really scary, still with 4 hearts, but he's a champ, so he has no problem doing this. Probably has a lot of practice from MG.
Yes, indeed. And hey, we're being rated by fine folks over at SpeedGaming. Hello, everybody. Welcome. And you just got done with a match on the main channel. So welcome to SpeedGaming 6. You're here with a 1-0 matchup in the round robin portion of our spoiler tournament between Vertz and Aussie. It's been pretty good so far. It's looking like it's going to be a pretty quick seed. And it's looking like, unless we've got any sort of surprises here, that our runners are either pretty much have everything they need, or they at least know where everything is at this point. I think Aussie may be good to go on items, pending any surprises that we may have overlooked.
He is a very brave soul if he's gonna do this entire scene on full hearts.
Yeah, that will be the interesting thing here. Obviously, Vertz is taking a little bit more of a safer out with some of these extra checks. Looks like Vertz is picking up a lot of the perk containers that are along the way, so choosing to kind of prioritize the extra health to help get through the Dark World, versus Aussie, who's kind of like, I'm gonna roll the dice a little bit and just, you know, go with my skill and hope that, you know, I don't run into any sort of too tricky situation where my four hearts green mail isn't going to be an impediment.
Yeah, and really, like, doing a spoiler seed run is really actually so it'll go better if the more honest you are with yourself and what your execution ability is. You know, if you are just uncomfortable, right? Probably facing, let's say, Helma without more than, let's say, like six. You want at least 6 hearts. It's definitely to your benefit to get those 6 hearts, because if you are already nervous, you know, probably in, you know, the midst of doing a race, and then, you know, you just get more nervous because, you know, you're already on low health. It's just not going to be a good time for anybody.
Yep, and I believe we can actually all but confirm that Aussie's in go mode, and Vertz will be there as soon as they pick up the fire rod. So yeah, Aussie is just going through here go mode. We saw Vertz do the same thing. There's a diver down as well. We saw that from Vertz as well.
Yeah, Vertz actually did a very just like Aussie. It was very fast, very clean. These guys have practiced.
Yeah, and good point there. I'll mention this in chat as well. This is not Yoho saying you're not doing Cold or Mire or Turtle Rock in this seed, so it's pretty free as far as damage goes, and that is a good point to make. You're not doing some of the more difficult boss fights here. This is kind of, I would almost say, ideal with the layout. Three of the more difficult boss fights are not required at all, so you get to skip over those. If you've got the execution, you can do a pretty good job here. And Aussie playing he's got that red potion, so not totally in trouble yet, but you gotta be careful here with pulling those puff balls away. Indeed, as you mentioned, Clear Mouse, you're seeing that fire rod strat on Argus from Aussie. Makes it nice and simple and easy. And that's crystal number 6. So
looks like definitely looks like we can just go up to the Gannis Tower area and mirror to Hera, and then mirror right back to Gannis Tower.
Yeah, this is a very fast seed. So if you were hoping for a long run, unfortunately, well, first off, it's spoiler lock, so it'll be a little bit quicker than normal, but definitely with this seed in particular, with the layout of where everything is, very, very fast seed. And Vertz won't be too far behind. It's gonna go ahead and finish up Thieves Town here and see you having a bright future. Ha ha ha. Oh, the puns. But yeah, we'll probably be making the immediate beeline up to Skullwoods after this. Knows where the fire rod is, knows all you have to do is go back and take care of Mothula. So Vertz will also be heading up to Tower of Hera. And Aussie's going to have to go ahead and spend a little bit of time getting that portal all set, but we will see that in just a moment. Vertz has already made that trip. Doom Taps saying sub 50. I don't know if we'll get sub 50. It'll be pretty quick. We might see a sub-hour run from one of our runners here. If our little friends up there decide to play nice, good old Dead Rocks. It would not be a randomizer seed if we didn't have at least one Dead Rock troll, I think.
Alright, you see Vertz making his way through Skull Woods, looking for the last piece before go mode. Alright, that's go mode.
So yeah, both runners in go mode now. This is going to be a straight sprint to the finish, and really at this point, Aussie's got the advantage. Oh, that is super clean.
Very fast Harapot, yes.
I think that is I think that's the fastest Harapot I've ever seen. That's beautiful. Well done, Aussie. Well done. Wow.
I think I've heard that people tend to like the spin speed hookshot setup better than the bomb ones. But I think also one, I think it might be easier, or it might just be maybe more forgiving. But also two, you're doing the bomb ones. At some point you could run out of bombs or hearts. So
right. Yeah, it's definitely, if you can execute it every time, the spin speed one's probably a little bit less of an issue to do. And well, we're not playing a guessing game tonight because we know where the key is, and they know where the key is, and we know exactly what the number is going to be. Yeah, honestly, with that Harapot, maybe we can put sub 50 into some talk here. Just can really depend on execution at this point.
Aussie's probably pretty good at execution.
Yeah, so...
we see Vertz take down Mothula for his sixth crystal? Sixth crystal. So it looks like after this he can also make his way up to Death Mountain.
Yep. Yes, indeed. And now up Death Mountain to Tower of Hera. Meanwhile, Aussie's already in search of that GT big key. Gonna snipe a key from the pot. Oh, this will be interesting. This may put a little bit of a crinkle in the plans of those of you who were hoping for. No, actually not, because turn brown keys that are hanging out here. This is an interesting decision here by Aussie. This is a good play, I think.
Yeah, definitely. As mentioned, so the runners get only 15 minutes with the spoiler lock before they have to start racing, and it's hectic enough just to try and get to the Dark World, trying to get to the dungeons, get our progression items, it's definitely quite a feat to also still be able to get some semblance of a GT route. Now that being said, after 15 minutes, the runners still have access to the spoiler log, so they can still, do whatever they need to do, Control F, or find or anything like that. But still, that's much harder, while you're racing, right?
Yep, and of course, Aussie making the trip over to pick up the big key hanging out in the compass room, which was where the logs indicated it was.
Free butter sword.
Yep. Also getting the powder, so now it doesn't have to worry about doing the fake powder. Can use the real thing. And from here on out, for Aussie, it's just going to be pure execution. And of course, Vertz here is doing the. We talked about this, Clear Mouse, that this is the bomb setup for this. It can be a little bit more. Can be a little bit more of a pain in the butt to figure out, and yeah, just not quite getting the pixel limit up there. And this is even in the last tournament we did, even in ALTTPR League, people were having some trouble with the getting it to line up exactly. And there we go, second try for Vertz.
No, second try is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a time in ALTTPR League, I can't remember which match it was, but it was 6 or 7 tries, and that's, at that point you're just kind of getting frustrated with the whole thing. Yeah, second try. Maybe not super ideal, but still pretty good for Vertz, and he's now on the Moldorm fight, while Aussie is doing the powder on the bunny beam. Will now be taking care of MLS2 very quickly.
Yeah, half magic and fire rod can make the gauntlet and upper GT go by pretty quickly.
Yeah, so really from Aussie here, we're seeing a lot of really good execution. And of course,
you were saying?
I was gonna say that's a 30-second penalty if you mess up the most satisfying room in the game part 1 like that. I'm kidding. There we go. But most satisfying room in the game part 2. There we go. Nicely done by Aussie. 4 hearts, green mail. Wow.
Yeah, and meanwhile, so Vertz is making his way into Ganon's tower. It'd be kind of interesting to see what route he's going to take to get to the key.
He's just going to go straight to the, straight left here. I'm actually going to pick up that heart off of.
Oh, look at that! He, I don't know if he timed it, but I mean that definitely was a heart container refill. So.
That was pretty good. Yeah, if you're able to keep track of that with your routing decisions, then it's not a bad decision. Of course, Aussie's got the 2 keys now, so we'll be good to go to get to Moldorm 2.
Alright, I wonder if anything's in Southwest room that he wants to pick up. Another safety. Okay.
Yeah, I think I also wanted those 2 keys that were in the Dark Magician room there. So that way he's not going to have to farm anything else going up the tower. He can just kind of go. It is going to take a little bit more time, and Aussie's already passed Moldorm 2, making it look super clean. And almost on the way to Aga. Nicely done getting through that room with the bumpers and the Helmosaurs. Here we go.
That was a very nice triple.
That was a very nice triple. Can we get a double triple? A 3? No.
Oh.
No. We might get a countdown here though. No, actually that was 2-2-2. Okay. So triple 2s. Get a little triple double.
It looks like Vertz wants that magic refill.
Yeah, gonna be heading out the tower while Aussie's gonna be dropping in to Ganon here. Yeah, this gonna be pretty. This may very. I think this, with that execution in GT, this certainly is a very good chance of a sub 50 here from Aussie.
To answer a question in the chat, where were silvers? Silvers were in the randomizer room in Ganon's tower.
Yep.
So we probably weren't going to see those.
Yeah, we were not going to see those without someone going full left. And as we were kind of looking over the spoiler log, we were determining that no one's going to go full left because you could either do what Aussie did and steal the key, or you could go get one from Dark Magician, just run Dark Magician route and it would be there. So yeah, no one was going to go get those.
And also, since we're already at Ganon, both mill upgrades were also in Ganon's tower. So runners in this case were stuck on green mill the entire run.
Being created by our fine friends from SpeedGaming Espanol. Hola.
Hola.
Welcome to. You've arrived just in time to catch the kind of the tail end here. Yeah, Aussie is on a blistering pace in this seed.
On 4 hearts, no less. 4 hearts green mill.
It has been super, super impressive. He's doing silverless Ganon strats here. He's got 50 seconds to finish this up, and I think we should have a sub 50 here.
It definitely suffices to say, so Ganon does a lot more damage than Hearts, so he's been in one hit KO mode basically the entire fight. Taking no damage, very, very impressive fight for Aussie here.
Super, super impressive fight. And get those GGs in chat. As long as he can walk across the bridge. Yes, indeed, Aussie is done. Sub 50 run.
Congratulations, Aussie. That is super, super impressive.
Indeed. Whew. That is definitely, that's a beautiful.
Do we know what the fastest spoiler log seed that's been completed so far?
I actually don't know that one.
This definitely has to be up there. Alright, so meanwhile, Vertz is finishing up his climb. Let's see if he can do the speedrun better than Aussie here. Oh, look at that. Beautiful.
Indeed. And we do have officially for Aussie with that extra 15 minutes. It's a 1:04:39 is the time that's listed on SRL, but of course with taking away that 15 minutes, it's a 49:39 for the actual run. So that is mighty fast.
Just imagine if you picked up like an extra heart container. I mean, that it could have pushed him to 50.
Yeah, just super efficient. I think Aussie's in here, so I think we'll pull him in just a moment. As Vertz is now finishing up GT, just on top here, has very much.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So so because he went to Southwest Room, and he got a couple extra keys, he didn't have to go kill the mini Helmosaurus to get another key. So just avoid them and go.
And I believe we're joined by Aussie now. GG's.
GG, Aussie.
Hey, GG's. I was waiting for Vertz, but okay, whatever.
Oh, sorry, we didn't know you were waiting for Vertz.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, Vertz should be here in just a moment. Just finishing up right now. It's on the Eka 2 fight, but wow, that was super impressive run. Was the plan just to go for it with 4 hearts, green mail, and just kind of hope for the best, hope that you didn't run into any sort of trouble?
Yeah, the dungeons we had without getting hit, pretty much. The only dungeon that you could say it's a problem is GT, of course. But then I have done a lot of like low percent, or I guess low life GT, so I'm used to it.
Yeah, it's certainly helpful here. As Vertz now just about to drop into the Ganon fight, gonna be doing the same thing here with the gold sword, silverless. So this should be just about done here. And,
I think Vertz has the luxury of taking 1 hit from Ganon. Green
I believe so. Yes.
Not.
Yeah. But how was the as far as your I guess we talked a little bit about looking through the spoiler log at the start there with your initial 15 minutes. Was there anything that you were really specifically focused on?
I guess I was debating whether I would rush the boots or get them when I got them. Like, because I could have easily went there before doing desert to get the boots, but that required me to get like a potion to go right side to spot, and that's like basically why I didn't do it. I didn't want to go out of my way to go and get the boots, because I still had to go back to pod anyway.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of
the
sense.
Other way, like if you wanted to avoid the double dip, you had to go. Oh, you didn't even half a way. Yeah, never mind. Because the book was in blacksmith, so you needed flippers. I guess you could have like done some unseal effect flippers. I don't know, to get the gloves, the second gloves that were in the island, and that way you skip going the first time to get the flippers to pod. But I didn't want to think about like all of that, so I just went to pod, got the flippers, and then just kept going.
Indeed, that makes a lot of sense as we're watching Vertz finish up here. Oop. Got a sword poke in there instead of a spin, so and froze. There we go. You get those GGs and chats for Vertz here in just a moment. All it has to do is walk across the bridge. And
Aussie, did you end up? Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say Aussie's gonna be moving to the 2-0. Vertz 1-1 with official SRL time here for Vertz. Pop it up here, 1:10:36. So yeah, for the race portion of that would be a 55:36. Still a very, very fast time here. And we'll
this is definitely
we'll get
very
Vertz
impressive
here.
from both players.
Yeah, we'll get Vertz in here in just a moment. Yeah, clear mouse, go ahead. And I believe we have Vertz in here. Hello, Vertz. GG.
GG OSA.
Hey, GG.
Hey, GG Vertz.
And thank you. I'm curious what the difference was. I know I picked up a lot of safeties along the way, so I imagine that was part of it.
Probably. It was probably a little bit of picking up the safeties along the way, which not necessarily a bad thing. You know, Aussie went in here. He went in with 4 hearts the whole time, 4 hearts, and just kind of did his best not to take a lot of damage, and it worked out. So, you know, it's really a thing where it's kind of like, you know, you got to go with. We were talking about this actually. You know, going with what you're comfortable with, and not trying to force yourself to do something that you're not necessarily comfortable with, because usually that backfires, and then you're kind of out of luck. Then you lose more time.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt partway through it. I did have a moment pretty early on when I first got to Thieves Town. When I walked in there, I was like, why am I doing this? I know where the boots are. I can get the boots. They're in pod. Then I went over to pod after getting the Master Sword and got the flippers and said, I don't have a potion. Oops, can't go any further. And then of course saved and quit and remembered that there's a potion in Eastern Palace waiting for me right there. So that was kind of a bummer for me. This seed was kind of cool. It was super open, and I liked that. Like once we got mitts, it felt like we could just kind of go wherever we wanted, which is kind of a unique feeling for these.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I don't think there was anything really like major that probably like set time differences apart, but it was probably just like a lot of little things that kind of added up. So I remember very early on, you sequence broke Hobo to get a sword, and I think Oase waited to get flippers and then went to go in logic to go get the sword. And I think that actually, yeah, whatever like path I think diversion that caused like probably was a little bit, so add up a little bit here, a little bit there, and suddenly you have. All that stuff adds up little by little.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, honestly, like you did a phenomenal job. I mean, so like Oase is certainly a very strong player.
Yes.
So like
yeah, I went into this like, all right.
yeah, I mean, but I definitely don't want to like putting yourself next to him like maybe makes it seem like your time isn't as impressive, but I mean it certainly is very impressive. So.
Yeah, I think this might be my first sub hour, so I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Hey, GG.
Yeah, indeed, it was still a really impressive run, and it's certainly not the situation. I think that you did anything wrong. Obviously, you guys both got through this pretty clean, and I think really it just came down to a little bit of going for those extra safeties, which whatever it takes to make yourself comfortable, you got to go for, and just maybe some decisions that saved a couple seconds here and there and that just kind of compounded, added up over time. Plus, maybe just some general execution stuff, but again, nothing that was particularly awful from either of you guys. It's just, yeah, it was really good to watch. It was very close throughout, as far as how you guys were kind of pacing each other. So certainly faster, I think, than I maybe would have done.
Yeah, did either of you end up watching like the other's stream or the restream to kind of see like where the other person was?
No.
No, I never do that. That only puts more pressure on me because it's not a good.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too.
I think that's certainly a good choice if it's a thing that like if it puts more pressure on you, then don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, so I know that like some runners like to watch like the restream to see where the other person is. So it's like, so if I'm ahead, okay, maybe I can stop by and get this extra heart container that can like ease up like a little bit of pressure on me, right? But yeah, like definitely do whatever you guys feel is comfortable for you. Yeah, I just want to also echo Nihon Tiger's sentiment. This was a very enjoyable and a very impressive run and race to watch. You guys have built a great job. GG's.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, and GG Oase as well.
Hey, thank you.
Yep. So we don't know yet, obviously, who your next round robin round opponents will be yet. Obviously, the way these things go, we're gonna have to wait for everyone to finish up and then see who's at 2-0, who's at 1-1, kind of, and then sort through all of that. So we don't have a whole lot to talk about as far as like who you're facing next, but any hopes for another fast seed next time?
Always.
Yeah, this was really lucky because we didn't have to do like the longest dungeons.
Oh yeah.
Maya and Tira.
Yeah, when I saw those pendants and realized there was nothing in those dungeons, I was like, yes, thank God.
Yeah, we were discussing that both before the match and during the match as well, about the fact that you guys lucked out and got 3 long dungeons were not on there, and 3 very tough bosses were not on there as well, in Vitreous, Cold Stare, and Trinex. So this was very favorable to a very fast time, and we did see that as.
Yeah. No. So I guess I'm curious, Oase. If you had to do Turtle Rock or Meyer, would you have picked up any more safeties?
I guess not, because I had already a bottle. So if anything happened, I would probably just use a bottle, and then just hope I execute well enough to not get hit again.
So, yeah, we've got that's gonna wrap it up for matches for today. We do have one more match though. Technically, we've got our favorite, as I like to say, our favorite sort of Rando After Dark. Gonna be happening tonight, 12:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Jula Ninja versus Asder. That's going to be a very late match on Speed Gaming 1. Ricky Kakiri and Tracy M, two very, very, very talented commentators, will be doing commentary for that one, and Yoinker's wife will once again be tracking. And I believe that's that late because I remember right now, Asder is actually doing another tournament match on the main Speed Gaming channel. We may be going to host them shortly. But yeah, this has been a pretty good tournament so far, and I'm glad to be part of it. And just want to say, of course, thank you to Vertz and Aussie for putting on a great seed, and make sure to follow both of them on Twitch. And of course, I want to say thanks to Yoinker's wife for doing the always hard work of tracking and keeping track of everything here. Even in spoiler log races, it can be a little bit. You still got to keep track of where everything is, and gotta always shout out our trackers. They do a great job. And of course, Clear Mouse, thank you so much for doing co-coms with me tonight.
Oh, no, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Hagen.
Absolutely. And of course, remember, someone out there loves you, we love you too. So take care, everybody. Thanks for following. Thanks for watching tonight here on Speed Gaming 6, and thanks if you hit that follow button. Make sure to hit the follow button on Speed Gaming 6 and all the other Speed Gaming channels, which is Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 through 5. Yes, there are 6 channels full of wonderful speed running fun. So make sure to keep an eye on those. You might find yourself a new thing to enjoy. And until next time, take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Take care. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.